Imagine a man so loyal to his orders that he kept fighting a war everyone else had forgotten long after the atomic bombs fell. The emperor spoke on the radio, and the world moved on. For nearly 3 decades, Second Lieutenant Hiroo Onoda lived in the dense, rain-soaked jungles of Lubang Island in the Philippines. Convinced the Pacific War raged on, he raided farms for rice and cattle, fired his rifle at what he believed were enemy patrols, and evaded search parties from 3 nations. He outlasted radio broadcasts, leaflets dropped from planes, family letters pleading for him to come home, and even official declarations of peace. By the time he finally emerged in 1974, he was 52 years old. His uniform threadbare but intact, his Arisaka Type 99 rifle still functional, 500 rounds of ammunition left, and several grenades at the ready. He had followed one unbreakable command: never surrender. Never take his own life, conduct guerrilla warfare until relieved by his superior officer. In those 29 years, companions died or gave up. Japan rebuilt into an economic giant, and the world changed beyond recognition. Yet Onoda remained a solitary ghost of the Imperial Japanese Army, waiting for the day his side would return victorious. His story is not just one of survival, it's a haunting testament to duty, delusion, and the human cost of absolute obedience. By late 1944, the tide of World War II had turned decisively against Japan. The Imperial Navy had been shattered at Leyte Gulf. American forces under General Douglas MacArthur were island-hopping back toward the Philippines, and Japanese garrisons across the Pacific faced overwhelming odds. Lubang Island, a rugged, jungle-covered speck, about 93 miles southwest of Manila, held strategic value. It overlooked key shipping lanes and could serve as a base for intelligence and sabotage against the advancing Allies. Hiroo Onoda, born March 19, 1922, in Kainan, Wakayama Prefecture, had enlisted in the Imperial Japanese Army in 1942. After working briefly in China for a trading company. Selected for elite training at the Nakano Military School's Futamata branch, a secretive facility that produced intelligence officers and commandos. Learned guerrilla tactics, survival skills, sabotage, propaganda, and the art of operating behind enemy lines. Unlike regular infantry, these men were trained not to die gloriously in banzai charges, but to endure, disrupt, and persist. In December 1944, at age 22, Onoda received his final briefing from Major Yoshimi Taniguchi on Lubang. The orders were explicit: conduct intelligence gathering and guerrilla operations against the enemy. You are absolutely forbidden to die by your own hand, Taniguchi told him. It may take 3 years, it may take 5. But whatever happens, we will come back for you. Onoda and 3 other soldiers private, Uchiaka Corporal Siochi Shimada and Private Kensichi Kosukawa, left to hold the island after American landings in early 1945 forced most Japanese forces to retreat or surrender. When Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the holdouts dismissed the news. Leaflets announcing the end of the war floated down like confetti. They called them Allied propaganda. Radio reports were tricks. Even when the Emperor's voice broadcast surrender, they believed it coerced or faked. Onoda's group split over time. Hakatsu surrendered in 1950, Shimada was killed in a skirmish in 1954. Kazuka died in 1972, during a clash with police. Onoda remained alone, a one-man army in a war that no longer existed. His training sustained him. He built hidden shelters, foraged bananas and coconuts, stole from villages when necessary, repaired his weapons with scavenged parts, and moved constantly to avoid capture. The island's inhabitants suffered raids they attributed to a ghost soldier, unaware the war had ended decades earlier. Onoda's daily existence was a masterclass in endurance forged from Nakano training. He slept in underground dugouts, camouflaged with vines, rose before dawn to check snares for wild pigs or monitor trails. His primary weapon, the Arisaka type 99 rifle, a bolt-action 7.7mm that fired accurately up to 400 meters, remained his lifeline. Cleaned religiously despite rust and humidity, he conserved ammunition fiercely, firing only when he believed it necessary to repel enemy patrols or punish villagers he saw as collaborators. Life was a cycle of hunger, rain, and vigilance. He boiled river water, ate raw meat when fire risked detection, and mended his uniform with plant fibers. Over the years, he lost track of time, but marked seasons by fruit ripening and monsoons, search parties, Japanese, Filipino, American dropping leaf, broadcasting messages over loudspeakers, even sending family members to call his name. Onoda interpreted them as traps. In the 1950s, when Japan declared him dead and issued a death certificate, he saw it as a ploy to lure him out. Twists mounted. In 1954, Shimada fell in a firefight with a search team. Onoda believed they were ambushed by Americans. In 1972, Kazuka died similarly, shot while raiding a village. Alone now, Onoda intensified his operations, believing the Empire needed him more than ever. He sabotaged what he could, burning harvested rice, shooting at vehicles, vanishing before retaliation. Technology barely touched him. Helicopters buzzed overhead. He hid. Radios crackled with news he dismissed as enemy lies. His world shrank to the jungle's rhythm leeches. Malaria fevers fought with willpower, wounds bandaged with leaves. Then, in February 1974, a young Japanese adventurer, Norio Suzuki, trekked into the interior, seeking the legendary holdout. Suzuki found Onoda, gaunt but alert, rifle raised. They talked for days. Onoda refused to believe the war ended unless his commanding officer relieved him in Prussian, exactly as Taniguchi had promised. 30 years earlier, Suzuki flew back to Japan, located the now elderly Taniguchi, a bookseller, and persuaded him to return. March 9th, 1974. Deep in Lubang's jungle, Taniguchi, dressed in his old mage's uniform, met Onoda. The two men faced each other in silence at first. Taniguchi read the formal orders. All combat activity is to cease. Onoda, tear streaming, saluted. His war ended after 28 years, 6 months, and 8,416 days of unyielding duty. He surrendered the next day at a Philippine radar base. Onoda handed over his sword, rifle, ammunition, grenades, and the dagger his mother had given him in 1944 for a seppuku if captured. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos granted him a full pardon for killings and thefts committed in Hainan. Onoda saw as wartime necessity. Flown to Manila, then Tokyo, Onoda received a hero's welcome from crowds who saw him as a symbol of loyalty. Yet the story carried shadows. Villagers on Lubang had lost lives and livestock to his raids. Some called him a war criminal. Others, a tragic figure bound by honor. Onoda expressed no regret, saying he followed orders faithfully. Hiroo Onoda's Tail Forces, reflection on duty's double-edged, how unbreakable loyalty can preserve a man through impossible hardship, yet blind him to reality's shift. He embodied Bushido's extremes: endurance beyond reason, obedience that outlived empires. After returning, he wrote his memoir, No Surrender, My 30-Year War. Moved to Brazil to ranch cattle, and lived quietly until his death in 2014 at Nobatayuna. In a world quick to declare wars over, Onoda reminds us that for some soldiers, Peace arrives only when the right voice speaks the release. His 29 years in the jungle stand as both extraordinary survival and a cautionary echo of what absolute conviction can cost, not just for the man, but for those caught in his shadow. We have written the sources from which we got this story in the description of this video. And we have always been and will be supporters of the oppressed, regardless of their color, race, or country. This world and its creator are also with the oppressed. If this forgotten story of duty and endurance moved you, like the video. Comment your thoughts. Below it, does loyalty mean in a world that changes so fast? Subscribe for more hidden World War II tales that history almost forgot. Your support keeps these stories alive. History isn't just remembered, it's focused. Subscribe WWII Focused. See you in the next one.